Welcome to Able United 101. This presentation covers an overview of Florida's Disability Savings Program and covers who it's for, how it works, and its benefits. Let's get started. Let's first start with what is ABLE. The Stephen Beck Jr. Achieving a Better Life Experience Act is a federal law that was enacted in December of 2014 and authorizes each state to establish a program that offers tax-free savings and investment options to encourage individuals with a disability and their families to save private funds to support health, independence, and quality of life. When the ABLE Act was passed, it added a new section to the Internal Revenue Code, Section 529, to include 529A, and of course, A stands for ABLE. Therefore, an Able United account is often compared to a 529 college savings plan, as well as a checking and savings account and a special needs trust. It has similarities to each of these options all rolled into one. In July 2015, the state of Florida created Florida Able, Inc., a registered not-for-profit and direct support organization of the Florida Prepaid College Board to administer the Able United program. Some of you may be familiar with Florida Prepaid, an organization that has helped more than 1 million families save over the last 30 years and manages over $12 billion in investments. Now that we've covered some of the basics on how ABLE came to be, I love sharing some stories about our account holders. Our first picture is of Jen Sikora and her son Sean, who has Down syndrome. Jen is a founding member of the ABLE Act and an Able United ambassador. More than a decade ago, a group of parents gathered around a kitchen table to have a conversation about saving for their disabled children's future. How could they save for their child with a disability just like their children without a disability? For far too long, individuals receiving benefits were forced to adopt the save versus spend mentality. So in an effort to provide increased opportunity for this community, the ABLE Act was born. Our middle picture here is Alicia, who opened an Able United account to save for a wheelchair-accessible van. And lastly, we have Elliot and his mom, Sandy, who started saving for financial independence with the help of family, friends, and the income he receives from his job as a DJ. So, now that you've met some of our account holders, let's discuss who is eligible for an ABLE account. It's important to know that only one ABLE account is allowed nationwide. At Able United, we are proud to offer the best value for Floridians. To open an account, individuals must meet 3 eligibility requirements. First, the individual with the disability must be a Florida resident at the time of enrollment. Second, the individual's disability had to have an onset prior to age 26. And third, the individual must be receiving SSI or SSDI and have a disability that is marked as severe. Those not receiving SSI or SSDI, self-certify is an option, and that individual must have a diagnosis of a physical or mental impairment prior to age 26, have a disability that is marked in severe with functional limitations, or have a disability expected to last at least 12 months. But what does severe mean? Ultimately, a qualifying disability is everything that you see here. It includes individuals with a diagnosis such as Down syndrome, autism, cerebral palsy, cognitive, developmental, or mental health disorders. It's important to note that Able United does not assess if a person has a severe disability, but that it would be up to the IRS if they were to audit an individual. If an individual is unsure if their disability qualifies, we recommend utilizing our online eligibility wizard, or you can download our physician form to obtain a disability diagnosis certification from a licensed healthcare provider. When it comes to ownership, it's important to note that unlike some other savings and investment options, the individual with the disability is the owner of the ABLE account. However, another person can help in opening and or maintaining the account, such as a parent, legal guardian, power of attorney, or entity serving as a representative payee. For a beneficiary who is over the age of 18, An authorized legal representative, or ALR, can also help set up or maintain an account. An ALR is someone who is legally authorized under state and federal law to make decisions for the beneficiary. New IRS regulations have expanded who can serve in this role under a power of attorney, conservator, or legal guardian, the spouse, a parent, a sibling, a grandparent, or a representative payee, whether an individual or organization, appointed by the Social Security Administration. Now, let's pivot and talk about the specifics on how an ABLE account works with public benefits. Let's first discuss Medicaid. Medicaid is a federal and state program that helps with medical costs for some people with limited income and resources. There is also Medicaid I-budget waiver, which provides home and community-based supports and services to eligible persons with developmental disabilities living at home or in a home-like setting, utilize an individual budgeting approach, and provide enhanced opportunities for self-determination. When it comes to ABLE accounts, funds in or drawn from an account are disregarded when determining eligibility for Medicaid. One important thing to note is the Florida legislature clarified that the Florida Medicaid program may not file a claim for Medicaid recovery of funds in an ABLE United account. Now, upon the death of a designated beneficiary, funds in the ABLE account must first be distributed for qualified disability expenses, then transferred to the estate of the designated beneficiary. But I will share that Medicaid estate recovery does exist for those 55 and older and meet other types of qualifiers. Now let's shift to SSI. Supplemental Security Income, or SSI, is a federal supplement program that provides cash to meet basic needs for food, clothing, and shelter. Like Medicaid, SSI has a resource limit of $2,000, and generally funds in or drawn from an ABLE account are disregarded when determining eligibility. It's important to note that when it comes to ABLE accounts, individuals receiving SSI are able to save a total of $100,000 before it starts to count as a resource. For those not on SSI, there is a maximum balance of $418,000 for each ABLE United account. The Social Security Administration has a Program Operations Manual System, also known as POMS, that they use to describe how Social Security should handle ABLE accounts. If you or your loved one are receiving these benefits, we recommend you review the manual. On the topic of SSI, it's important to note that all housing and non-qualified expenses withdrawn but not spent in the same month count as a resource. Let's walk through an example. Amy takes a distribution of $500 from her ABLE account in May to pay a housing expense for June. She deposits the $500 into her checking account in May, withdraws $500 in cash on June 3rd, and pays her landlord. This distribution is a housing expense and part of her checking account balance as of June 1st, which makes it a countable resource for the month of June. For individuals looking for a bit of a workaround, we recommend setting up the ABLE account to pay housing directly or simply withdraw and pay housing in the same month. Now that we understand how it works with benefit programs, let's talk a little bit about how an account works in the enrollment process. Enrolling and managing an ABLE United account is all done online at ableunited.com. There is no need to go to the bank to set up an account. Signing up is quick, easy, and free. It only takes 30 minutes or less. Here's what you'll need: the date of birth, address, and social security number for the individuals on the account. That includes both the beneficiary and/or the account administrator. Documentation of power of attorney or legal guardianship for an adult beneficiary over the age of 18. Self-certification if opening on behalf of the beneficiary. Banking information, a minimum $25 contribution to the account, and investment selections. Once you've got all of your account information entered in, you'll then move into the account setup process, which includes the option to enter the annual contribution goals for the account. we encourage individuals not to skip this step and instead really take the time to think about what they want or how they plan on utilizing their ABLE account. Another part of the account setup process is the selection of investments. ABLE United currently offers 8 investment options, ranging from conservative to aggressive, including 3 pre-designed portfolio options, which you'll see here. We also have 5 fund options, including money market, U.S. bond fund, U.S. stock fund, international stock fund, and our newest offering, which is the FDIC savings option. The FDIC savings option is an alternative to investing. Assets up to $250,000 are protected and insured, but keep in mind that with a low level of risk, there's also a lower level of return. When it comes to investments, you can change how incoming contributions are invested at any time and as frequent as you want. However, funds already invested in the program can only be rebalanced or reinvested twice a year. All of our performance information is available online at ableunited.com. After an account is opened, you can contribute what you can when you can by setting up recurring contributions. Individuals can also save with the help of friends, family, or even an organization such as a church. Individuals also have the opportunity to contribute to an ABLE account through the rollover of funds from 529 savings plans. Lastly, there is no federal income tax deduction for contributing to an ABLE account, so you can't write contributions to your ABLE account off as a donation. Contributions are considered completed gifts and not income for the individual, unless, of course, the individual is putting in their earned income or it is some kind of unearned income like child support. As I mentioned, it's easy to save with the help of friends and family, especially now that we have enhanced our gifting page. Use it like a GoFundMe by setting a goal and sharing with individuals and/or organizations as a way for them to give gifts instead of physical presents for a birthday or holiday. One of the best things about having an ABLE United account is its flexibility. Money can be withdrawn from an account at any time for any reason. Withdrawals can be made electronically, by check, or with the ABLE prepaid card. With the introduction of the new ABLE Visa prepaid card, you can start swiping and instantly access funds to be used online, in stores, or anywhere nationwide that accepts Visa debit cards. Think of it as your ABLE United account on the go. A few additional considerations include: if the money in an ABLE United account is spent on qualified disability expenses as defined by federal law, the earnings on the money withdrawn are tax-free. You have the opportunity to choose which investment to withdraw from, which allows you to separate your savings from your investing. And lastly, if asked by the IRS or the Social Security Administration for those receiving SSI, the beneficiary or authorized legal representative is responsible for providing receipts for qualified disability expenses. We always recommend that the individual or the person who is administratively responsible for the account keep necessary documentation on hand, so if asked, they could show that the expense relates to the person's disability and helps improve their health, independence, or quality of life. If the money in an ABLE United account is spent on one of the following qualified disability expenses as defined by federal law, the earnings on the money withdrawn are tax-free. Some of these expenses include health, education, housing, transportation, legal fees, financial management, employment training and support, assistive technology and personal support services, oversight and monitoring, funeral and burial, and other expenses approved by Treasury regulations. Qualified disability expenses include basic living expenses and are not limited to items for which there is a medical necessity or which solely benefit the beneficiary. Ultimately, it was written to be construed very broadly. As long as the expense relates to the beneficiary and helps maintain or improve their health, independence, or quality of life, it can be considered a qualified disability expense. However, one caveat here: if an expense is not a qualified disability expense, the funds spent are subject to tax plus a 10% penalty on the earnings. That includes alcohol, tobacco, gambling, and giving the funds away. We often get asked how much it costs to open an account, and the answer is that it's free. There is no application fee or account maintenance fee. All you have to do is put in a minimum contribution of $25 to get started and let your money make money for you. I will note that there are small investment administration fees, but the way to look at this is that the most you'd spend is less than $3 per $1,000 in the account annually. So, if you maxed out your account at $16,000, you're still paying less than $45 per year. The FDIC investment option has no fees. Before we close this presentation, I want to spend a few minutes covering some of our frequently asked questions. Is an ABLE account similar to a special needs trust? The answer is that we consider an ABLE account as an additional tool in a financial tool belt and can often work together, as a third-party special needs trust can fund an ABLE account. If I move out of state, do I have to close my ABLE United account and open an ABLE account in that state? The answer is no. It's just fine to keep your ABLE United account as it is all managed online. However, that state's ABLE program might have unique benefits for its residents, in the same way that ABLE United is the best value for Floridians. Someday is the plan manager for ABLE United and provides the online platform for the ABLE United account. Someday is owned by BNY Mellon, one of the world's largest financial institutions, and its core mission is to improve lives through investing. Do I have to file taxes on an ABLE United account? The answer is simple. Each ABLE United account is treated separately, and each will receive separate tax documents. Please consult your tax advisor for information about whether you need to file taxes for an ABLE United account. At the end of each year, you will receive a 5498 QA showing contributions in the establishment of an ABLE account. If a withdrawal was made from the ABLE United account, you will also receive a 1099 QA showing the earnings and the basis of the distributions. At ABLE United, we are committed to ensuring you have what you need to open an account or help your loved one or someone you serve open an account. There are several ways to reach us, including online at ableunited.com, and for Spanish speakers, we just recently launched our Spanish landing page with downloadable resources. Individuals can book a one-on-one conversation via GoToMeeting with an ABLE United team member for 15 minutes. All you have to do is visit our contact page and look for office hours. We also have a chat function available on our website. All you have to do is look for the icon on the bottom right of our homepage. And lastly, you can reach us by phone to connect with a customer service representative, Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Knowledge is power, and we thank you for taking the time to learn more about ABLE United, Florida's qualified ABLE program.